Hello there, wonderful humans. Welcome to a walkthrough of progressive summarization, a note-taking technique for condensing and compressing the essential information out of your notes so that you can use them in your own books, social media, or any videos that you're going to be making in the future. So what is progressive summarization and why is it important? Progressive summarization, I think, was really pioneered by Tiago Forte, and it's a 5-stage process for note-taking. And at the end, you have something which is remixed and put into a different context. Basically, it's important because you don't want to just take huge copy and paste parts of your books or podcasts, but you really want to start to extract the different juicy parts, the parts which are relevant to you, and then to make them your own. And that's helpful for your learning, but it's also helpful for extracting key insights and sharing the cool ideas. So basically, I'll walk you through how the note got here. I'm actually using Edu-Creator OS, which is my product for teaching and synthesizing notes and information into teachable products, courses, workshops, and all the good stuff. Right now, I'm trying to make a blog post, so this is my little process in here. I started over here on a YouTube video, which is of Justin of the Comparative Media Studies department in MIT. And he's talking about why EdTech has failed to disrupt education. And I basically found some really great parts in here, around 26 minutes, and I just ripped the transcript from here in YouTube. So I copied and pasted a bunch of notes and words, and I brought them into Edu-Creator, where I made a new note and gave it this really long title. I actually want to shorten this title somehow. But before I get into that, let's go through what progressive summarization is and all the different stages. As you can see here, there are different notes at sort of different layers. This one says bold, note taken, mini summary. What does that mean? Why different stages? So I'm just going to use Tiago's blog because it's probably one of the best resources on this. There's 5 different stages. Layer 1 is to actually take the note, and so that's layer 1, this big block here. Layer 2 is to start bolding passages which stand out to you, and I'll speak a bit more about what you should bold in a minute. From those long bolded sections, you're going to highlight passages. So this might be even a shorter part of the bolded passage, or it might just be another part that stood out to you. And from those highlighted passages, you'll start to compress mini summaries. And then from the mini summaries, you will have something that you remix and change it into a different format and make it your own. Maybe you turn Notion notes into a poster, or you turn your Notion note into a video. Who knows where you will put it. But not many notes make it up to layer 5. It's okay if the note hangs around like layer 3 for a week, and it's important that you just keep coming back to the notes every so often, and you'll see it in a different lens every time you come back to it. What I'm going to show you today is actually, I'm just going to blitz through all the different phases and layers of progressive summarization so you get a feel for what you should be doing. So I don't normally do this. I don't normally do all the stages in one day, but here goes. So I took my note and I plunked it here. Basically, I'm looking for information which is inspiring, useful, surprising, or personal. So I'm just holding this as a framework while I'm looking through the page and scanning through information. And so I'll get doing that. I will start reading through this and just making certain parts bold. I'm going to skim, read, and just pick out cool things. First education, it's unfathomably complex. That's a good thing. Oh, that's a cool thing. That's surprising. And indeed, the technologies that we have are very uneven. They work well in some circumstances. This is also cool. Loaded with insight. Another fundamental misunderstanding that people have when they predict sweeping changes from education technology. They imagine that our technologies are like bulldozers or Swiss Army knives. They clear everything out of the way and do everything. That's cool. But our technologies are not that way. They solve very particular problems. Cool, you get the gist. I'm bolding things as I'm going through, and just, if it's one of these things, inspiring, useful, surprising, or personal, then I will highlight and press Command B. That's just the shortcut for bolding things. Then I want to go through that and basically now start onto layer 3, which is to highlight stuff. So layer 1 was to make the note, layer 2 was to bold, and layer 3 is to highlight. So I might actually go away for a couple of days and never look at this and then come back and be like, that was cool, I should keep looking at this thing. And it's actually better to do this over time, because you go away and digest it, you actually have some new thoughts related to the stuff that you're trying to summarize, and then more important things will be highlighted. Right now I feel like I'm being put under pressure to highlight something which is shorter than what I bolded. It's fun to do that in different stages or days apart. So it's unfathomably complex. Somewhere today, a teacher it's a cool example, but right now I'm really just trying to get the essence of this piece out. The fact that education is immensely, unfathomably complex, that is a cool insight. It's a core part of the gist. And what I want to do is I want to highlight it. I want to pick yellow, but I don't have to do that every time. I can just press Command, Shift, and H. So let's find a new part that I want to highlight. The content that you cover, the skills that you address are constantly changing across the 180 days in K-12 school years. Yep. So that's important. Command, Shift, H. Done. Indeed, the technologies that we have are very uneven. The technologies that we have are very uneven. They work well in some circumstances, but not others. For some people, but not others. That's a long way of saying something, but I want to try and get the essence out of that. I'm just going to highlight this and and remember that I want to reword this in the remix. They're imagining that our technologies are like, so I start with the bold. So see how my attention is just being zeroed in on the bold thing, and then I'm looking for the even more specific thing with the highlight here. So they're imagining that our technologies are like bulldozers, or they're like Swiss Army knives. They clear everything out. They do everything. That, clear everything out, they do everything. But our technologies are not that way. They solve very particular problems. I think that's very important. So you can see I'm starting to trim off the fat in this next round, and I'm arriving at just these highlights. What I'll probably do now is I will start to actually make a mini summary. Let's just do it here. Let's take the first as well, because it's a list. And then I'll take this highlight. So this is layer 4 now. I'm trying to make the mini summary of this thing. So I'll copy and paste all of these. And then I actually want that for some more context. This looks like a mini summary. Let's call this /H3 mini summary. Great. So now what I would love to do is to actually rewrite this in my language to notice that there was this long convoluted way of saying something. There's also just words which aren't necessary in here, and then write my own mini summary. I would write this thing, and then I would take that, or actually just these notes, and start putting them into a different context. So how would I start doing that? That's quite easy in Edu-Creator OS. I'll just copy this and start plonking it somewhere else. Let's say I want to switch context. I've got this in a note mini summary format. And what I'm trying to do in the digestion section of Edu-Creator OS is to switch context and make it my own. By doing so, I actually approach it from multiple angles. I gain a better understanding of it. I have a deeper way of saying it because I can say it multiple times. So what I'm trying to look for is just some kind of format which might be fun to say this thing. Let's try a mini slide deck. I want to do it in a mini presentation. So I'm going to press new here and press open, and I get to select all these different templates that I have in here. And one of those is a draft slide deck presentation, so I'll click that and I'll call it Why EdTech Fails to Disrupt Education. Inspirational sources and links, so this is really the information capture. I want to put all the stuff that's important here. Maybe I might even link to that YouTube video and start to pull in other notes that I have using this / link to a page, and then I could find the page which this is related to. Maybe I've made a note somewhere else a different day, but for now this is just the source material that I'm going to look at for this example. Draft my slide deck. Great. Okay, cool. So the presentation title is this title. Let's copy that. there, and then subheading let's call this a summary of some key ideas by Justin Reish from MIT. And then that's slide 1. I'd want to take this and start making a slide deck out of it. Maybe I don't have presentations and goals for this slide deck. I'm just going to call it slide 2 and use this as a source material, as first, education is just immensely, almost unfathomably complex. What I might actually want to do is tell a story here that wasn't the example story. You know, Justin was giving us a story of different teachers teaching different things in different contexts, but I might want to go away and think about, okay, what's the story I can tell? And then I would go into new slide, and it gives me slide X. I can say slide 3 with a title, with a header and some info, and I want to talk about this second thing. Let's say the technologies that we have are very uneven. They work well in some circumstances, but not others. So I put that under the header here. And maybe the title is even, technologies we have are very uneven. There's probably a better way of saying this. And you get the gist. I'm building out a slide deck from the summary that I got from that note. And in this way, the thing that I summarized doesn't make sense in this context. So I have to start laying into the space that's created my understanding and creating those connections for myself. So what I'm looking at here, firstly, education is just immensely, almost unfathomably complex. Doesn't make sense by itself on a slide. So now I have to construct some stuff around it, and the same goes for slide 3, and so on and so forth. So what I'm trying to do is flesh out some kind of pitch deck, which I might publish somewhere. And once I've got that, I can use one of these tools like Pitch or Google Slides to create the final thing. So I hope that's been helpful and shown you how to do progressive summarization. I have left this note in layer 4, and this is actually the remixed note. So I'm going to call this layer 5. And giving you some more context for how to do progressive summarization, how you might want to go about using it in your Notion workspace. Also, if you're using Edu-Creator OS, then how you can go about using the different templates inside to start constructing your knowledge and figure out how to create more teachable assets so that you can share your information and your knowledge more broadly. So thank you for watching, and if you need to find out more information about Edu-Creator OS, then visit the link in the description below, or you can see it in action more by visiting my channel. If you want more information on general knowledge management tips, then there are some related videos here and there. Just click on them.